and see. Um, I don't know what we're doing here. I have. Well, I'm gonna talk more about this program that I finished in February of 2026. Called that's I would say it's directly um like education to hire, but they do have a pretty good success rate. I believe they say 80% of people get jobs offered and hired um, within the first. I don't know how long they didn't. I don't know if they say an amount. Um, there's gonna be people. There's gonna be record on this iPhone. Uh, I was trying to record on the iPhone. I don't know if it worked. Uh, Let me plug in this. This sucks. Um, don't get one of these. Yes, I'm calling these guys out from Amazon Prime. Don't get one of these things. They're good for like maybe like a single, spending longer charging your charger than Type-C doesn't want to connect. Um, but let's see. This is gonna be terrible, but I'm trying it, guys. I'm trying it. So okay, this is a little bit easier of a way for me to record because oh my goodness, I'm very long-winded and it's kind of hard for me to record in uh, when I'm just um, trying to. I don't know what I'm even trying to say. It's just hard for me to record. Um, Trying to take stuff off of my phone. So basically, I can live stream on YouTube. I hope it's not really live streaming, but it might be. I think I uh, didn't put it as unlisted, but anyways, it might be live streaming. And then I'm just gonna take off this single cut and paste it or just rip it from using this like YouTube ripping software. Just put the link um, in that website and rip my own video so I can upload it elsewhere because I wasn't really trying to record on this specific YouTube channel, but it's the one where I am eligible to live stream. And so, it's been like a longer lasting um, YouTube channel. But anyways, so I wanted to talk about this. I have notes. I had previously recorded audio podcast only, and I just haven't posted it. And I was like, I've been doing a lot more video. I don't really like doing video, but I'm like, let me try it. Whatever. So I'm trying it more. Maybe other people like it more. I I I really can't tell the difference, honestly. Like it just takes longer for me, and I'm sometimes not super well spoken, so it's a little more stressful for me to do it this way. But this is what's gonna work for me for now. So let me talk about this. I'm gonna give a general overview, and then I want to make separate episodes, kind of like breaking down each of the parts in more detail. Like I'm not going to talk about names. I'm not talking about names of the instructors or names of the recruiters or names of the professional development people or like the assistant instructors or any of the students. I'm not talking names. I'm not talking names of companies. I'm not talking about all those details. Mostly what I'm talking about is just my experience and just a general understanding. Trying to keep it professional. I mean, I don't like look professional. That's not really my goal to look professional. I'm just kind of doing this when I have free time. And when I feel like sitting outside in the car for long periods of time and just kind of drinking some water and being not indoors for a while. Um, and yes, I will be drinking into the microphone. So basically, let's talk about it. So this program, per SCHOLAS, they have IT courses, and you're able to get into the courses if you pass an interview phase and get accepted in. Now, you basically um, you basically treat it like a job. It's long classes for multiple months, weekdays. You're expected to be there. You're expected to show up. You can get into a hybrid class or a um, just like a fully remote class. The hybrid class, I think they finish maybe 2 to 4 weeks earlier than the remote class. But they are, let me see, they're, um, yeah, they finish a little bit earlier, but they're also, um, yeah, you have to go on site to do it. Um, Now, to qualify, you'd have to check and see if they have the program where you live, if that makes you eligible, and then there's a lot of other stuff that makes it so you're eligible. So you have to check on the website and see if you meet criteria to even get uh, to apply to this class to take it for free. Um, they instruct you for free. Um, you don't pay for any of it. All the course materials are online. The most I ever had to pay for anything at all was because they had a one mandatory day where we had to come in to the actual campus site. Um, some people didn't go, but I don't know if that's always an option. I guess they had to get it cleared if they couldn't make it, but I don't know if people who don't go get penalized or not. I have no idea, because they did say it's mandatory and you're expected to go at least at once. And when I did go, I paid for whatever gas it took me to get to and from downtown LA, and for whatever I think the I parked like right in front of the campus, and it was $20 parking. It was like a day pass for parking. I didn't know how long we were going to be there, and I also was running a little bit late, and so I did not want to um, park far. And I probably would have been on time if there wasn't like a line to get in. You have to like check in and like get past security, check in and get permission to get into the building, and then they tell you where to go, and there's specific elevators that you use to get to certain places. And so if I could have just walked straight in, I would have been fine on time, but I was a little bit late. But I paid whatever it was for the gas to and from, and then $20. I think I got lunch for myself on my way back home, but I that wasn't their fault. That was me. Um, so let's see, I paid 20, 30 something dollars total. The books, everything was online. Um, you are expected to wear like professional attire. There is a dress code, even if you're online, there's a dress code. Um, so I would just say expect to follow the rules and not to try to bend the rules and not to try to make up your own rules or like try to complain about everything that is inconvenient. Just treat it like a job, treat it professional, do what they say to do. If they have a list of things to do to try to get in, do all the things. Don't, I would say don't say like, oh, this is too hard or too much, because if you start having that attitude and trying to just like scrimp by, then, they're going to probably see through that. If there's a lot of paperwork to fill in even start before you even start the interview. There's a lot that you have to submit, and so you want to do it early enough, you want to do it on time. I think I started maybe 3-4 weeks before uh, the class started, trying to start the process of getting in. I heard about it from a job counselor, and they kind of handed me the flyer, and I called, and they kind of sent me a link on how to start. All the information was on there, and I'll be posting my links for people who want to start, who want to try to apply and try to get in. The application is free. The only thing you're really spending is your time and energy, guys. Um, but it could lead to career opportunities. Um, I would say of the classmates I talked to, and I don't talk to all of them, I think our class was maybe just under 30 people in the class. I think I could be a few people off with these numbers, but I think it was a few people in the class. And then yeah, you're gonna see people walking past and like traffic and stuff. There were maybe about 30 of us in the class. I think by the end of the class, let's say there were like 25 people that graduated. Um, I don't think anybody got kicked out or anything like that, to my knowledge. I think some people quit or didn't come back or had other circumstances, but it's a lot of your day. It's I don't remember the hours, if it was like 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. or like 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. or something like that. And some days were shorter, some days we would start maybe a little bit later, but you, unless they tell you otherwise, you're kind of expected to be there every day on time, or early actually, because if you have Windows, your laptop might just be like updating all the time when you're trying to log in. So you have to take that into account. They do take attendance. They do pay attention to if you are not paying attention, and you do have to be on camera, just like I'm on camera. You have to be like on the camera, your camera on, and your face in the screen on the Zoom. So you can't just like keep it running from like 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and go like run errands and go to work and then come back and have your computer like just there. Like, no, you get breaks, you leave when the break starts, they tell you when to come back. You're expected to be back in the class when when the class starts back again. Um, yeah, that was a weird little moment. So yeah, I would say if you treat it like a job, you'll be fine. Like, don't treat it like any other thing. Treat it like you're in a job and like you're training for a job, and treat it like it is your job. And treat it like you're working overtime and you're studying before and after class and on the weekends. Depending which cohort you get into, when you get in, if you get in, you'll be in a what was I gonna say? Like you're gonna be in a cohort of maybe about 30 people. I don't know how big the in-person classes are, but that's about the size of the online classes. And then you get to know everybody pretty good, and I had fun. I thought it was a really fun time. Everybody was really nice to my experience. I thought everybody was really great. Like overall, especially, I would say, there's normal human interactions with normal human problems. Not every day is going to be perfect. Not everybody's going to be like your favorite person on the face of the planet. But most of the people, if you usually don't have problems with people in your life, you're probably not going to have a bunch of problems with the people. Everyone's there because they want to have an opportunity to kind of change their career path or get a better career opportunity. The job market sucks. Everybody wants to get a job or get into a field that they want to be in, and that's basically everyone's there with the same purpose. The instructors are there to teach you to be able to pass these tests, and to educate you. If you learn everything that they say, you'll be fine and you'll pass the test if you're able to memorize all of it as fast as the class goes. It's very fast paced. You finish in 4 months. A lot of times people take like a year for these classes. It is a free class. If you get into the class, it's free for you. But you are putting in the work. You're putting in the time and the work. There's no shortcut to it. Even if you were to cheat on every single thing, you still have to submit it. You still have to go through it. You'd still have to go through the effort to cheat. In the labs, you can't really cheat because you're literally doing like a lot of simulations on there. You can't just copy and paste it up into these things, if you're like learning how to use like a Linux command prompt or something, you can't like just copy and paste it. Like you have to literally go in there and type it in. And some of the labs are a little bit glitchy, and you kind of have to email somebody about it. Um, you kind of find your ways around some of the labs. I have some examples of of like one or two of the harder labs posted to show you kind of like what the harder ones look like because they're pretty intense. I have not gone through all the labs and done all of them. I probably won't do that anytime soon, or maybe probably not even at all. But that's not really something I'm very passionate about. But if I decide to do it, it could be cool. Um, but yeah, I remember there was a lab about like printers, and I couldn't like. It's like you're supposed to change out the toner, and it was like I know what to do, but like I can't. It was like a like almost like first person video game style. Like you're kind of like it's almost like if you're playing Call of Duty, but instead of a gun, you're kind of just like walking around with your hands and like shifting stuff around. And, sometimes you're like looking at the floor and then you're like too zoomed into the ground and you're trying to like look back up at the desk. And like it was like I spent so much time just trying to like my mouse didn't work, the keys and the keyboard and the little like the whatever it was I was supposed to use for like the mouse. I tried different things and like it wasn't really working, and I was like, okay, I tried, but some of those labs took hours and you're in class for hours and then you spend weekends. I ended up with a little over like 91% in the class. That was fine for me. I was like, okay, at least at my own pace I'm able to get this stuff done. Um, I did it through winter, so we did have like a 2 week winter break between like Christmas and like the new year pretty much. Um, and then, yeah, we took Core 1. I did the IT support course. Um, I took the Core 1 exam, the Core 2 exam. They train you to do that. But yeah, I'm not here to give answers. I'm just gonna talk about the process of kind of what worked for me. Other people might have done other things that might have worked for them, but I really like this place, and I do want to say, I guess spoiler alert, I did eventually get a job offer from a site that I started talking to just before class ended in February of 2026. Um, I'm barely going to start the job in June, but I started talking to them in February, and I basically, anybody who contacted me, I just said yes. Like, yes, I will interview. Yes, I'll do this. I'll try. I didn't say no to anything, even if it was something that I was like, I'll know that I don't want to do it once it starts happening. Um, and there were some places that I was like, because of motion sickness, I can't do this job, or like some certain stuff I couldn't do because I didn't meet the qualifications. Like you have to have certain certifications and certain stuff to be able to do it. But anything that I met the qualifications for that was within my own abilities, I was like, just say yes to all of it. Um, I would have preferred to work remotely, but I was like, it's a drivable distance. I think 50 miles one way is probably my limit. I live in LA. That would be a sucky drive, but I did it. I did it in grad school. I did it for my bachelor's program. I've driven all over LA, and to Orange County and stuff in 90 minutes of traffic one way, twice a day. Um, you know, Sometimes there's parts that are just not very glamorous, but you know, with the job market as it is, I was basically spending so much time before this class just applying to jobs anyways. I was like, things aren't really working out. I was doing Uber Eats. I was doing this like sales job, which I'm still technically gonna still keep doing, but it's commission only. And I was picking up gigs, just doing all kinds of stuff. And I was like, where I'm living is not necessarily where I want to live. It's not terrible, but I'd rather have my own place. I don't have my own place. I'm at family's, and it's fine. It's better than the roommates I had before, but it's still not my own place. I can't do what I want to do. If it's a weekend and I want to have guests and like have a little video game party and have my friends over and watch movies and eat popcorn and drink beer or whatever, can't do that. Like can't have people just coming over and like staying the weekend or whatever. Can't do what I want to do. It's not my place. It's other people's place. So it's like, I was like, Uber Eats is not gonna get me there. Um, you know, so I was like, my job counselor kind of showed me a flyer, and I was just like, oh look, it's a flyer, something that I'm interested in. And I just was like, let me call right away. Within like a day or two I called, and then I texted the counselor back, and I was like, I got an appointment to talk to the school, and I'm gonna try to do it. I got more information, and I kept them updated, and I think they're pretty pumped up. Like, I got to update them when I got the job offer and everything. So I'm gonna talk more about the whole process in stages, because this was just the overview, just to talk about what the class was, what it was like, in general. If you want to know the step by step that I did, I'm gonna try to talk about it through memory. I do kind of have the categories of notes here that I recorded on an audio podcast. I recorded that when I was super tired, but I still might record it. I still might post the episodes anyways, and just link these videos to it, because I don't know. I'm trying something else. Just because I have some time, we've got our orientation for this job on Thursday. They're flying us out for a 4-week training on June 1st. We start training June 2nd for 4 weeks in another out of state, and then they fly us back. So they fly us there and back for free. They feed us while we're there for free. They put us up in a hotel for free, and then from there, you know, and I think it's paid. I got a little interview pay from the interview that I did, um, going through recruiters, and the interview went well. And I can only tell you what I've done. I'm if there are negative things to say, because I'm not trying to say every day's easy, everything's gonna be fine. Everybody's gonna feel like you didn't make a mistake. There were times where I was like, why did I do this? Like, this was a mistake. I could have just stayed Ubering. But eventually, the car I was Ubering with gave out near Super Bowl, and I was like, I'm screwed. This thing I'm sitting in does not work. It's a 2001 Oldsmobile Aurora. If you jump the battery, it drives up to 40 miles per hour, is as fast as it'll go. It costs more to fix than what it's worth, and you can't legally drive it because it doesn't have updated tags, and it needs a smog check, and we need to get it repaired to get the smog check to pass. Nobody wants to get it fixed. So I just do podcast recordings here, which is why if you listen to any of my podcasts, you hear traffic, you hear sirens, you hear kids riding their bikes and screaming around, you hear helicopters and planes, you hear whatever you hear in the background, because I'm literally sitting outside. Sometimes I'm indoors, but you can still hear that stuff indoors because I have the windows open. Um, but yeah, like it's been a blessing, for sure. I feel like in life I kind of tend to just stumble my way through, just say yes to what falls into my lap, try it. It's never easy. I don't think I've ever had a job or tried a career path that was easy, that I was confident and like ready to do. I was just like, do this. I've learned to do stuff while I'm scared and while I'm not ready, and suffer through the anxiety and lose sleep over it. And eventually you adapt and adjust. And I don't know. I mean, it's worked for me up to this point, and this is kind of like a second career path I'm taking here. So I had a good thing going in the mental health field, but I was like, that field was not good for me. So I stopped working there. I still have a job that I could go back to if I really wanted to, but I really don't want to. But I left in good standing with the jobs, and they offered me to come back. They've even asked me to come back, if I wanted to. And so, and I don't really, I mean, unless I have to, unless it comes to a point where it's like, that's the only job that's going to be available, then I'll go back. But I'm not really trying to go back. So, but I left with job security, but it was too draining for me. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Um, so I was like, I want to do what I want to actually do. I'm gonna try to do what I want to actually do, which was tech. I was doing more of like, it was more of a hobby for me for years. Um, and when I have breaks and I have times where I'm not doing very good with with trying to transition into other things, one thing that I try to do is I try to pick up hobbies and creative things that, podcasting, web design, blogging, these are things I've learned, digital marketing, sales, like running Facebook campaigns, like e-commerce. I've learned this stuff by myself, just stuff, repairing parts of cars and computers and stuff, um, repairing phones and reselling them, things like that. I've learned how to do these things instead of just sitting there and wasting time. Yes, there is wasting time. Yes, the mood does kind of dip, and then it's like I just want to sit around and like watch Cobra Kai all weekend or whatever. I just want to sit around and play Call of Duty. Like, fine, take the time to take the breaks, but you don't want to look back 6 months, 2 years, and be like, I'm still exactly where I was. I don't think I've said that, where it's like I've looked and I've been like, at least on my end, I've developed skills, you know, on my own, even if nobody thought before this that they wanted to hire me in the bad job market, as many interviews as I've had in the past, or as many jobs as I've been offered where people have kind of let me down and it just didn't start, or the contract, they just never gave it to me. They're like, you can start working. And I'm like, well, I need to kind of sign a contract. I'm not just going to start working for free. Like, like you said, you're going to pay me. So let's put it in writing, like I know better. But, yeah, like I want to talk about it all, but check out the Game and Compute podcast. I ramble around over there. I haven't been posting a lot in probably like 6 to 8 months. I haven't posted a whole lot. Um, but I'm trying to post a little bit before I start doing this next step in my life. So, I've got some days off where I'm just kind of trying to, rest and work out and just kind of get all my ducks in a row because I'm about to be busy, busy, busy. Um, and that's good. It's gonna be a good thing. But yeah, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not trying to say that I'm any special person. Um, I'm not in like the greatest of financial standing. I've got student loans from grad school. Like I was almost forced. Like if I couldn't live with family, I would have pretty much been forced to kind of stay in a career that I don't even like necessarily want to be in. Even though I really like the jobs and stuff, it was like I'm not going to reach my goals at that work. I wasn't going to reach my goals, and the people I was living with were just, it was just not a good fit. So, um, yeah, like I want to talk more about it. I say a lot, I ramble a lot, I go off trail a lot, and if you guys don't like that, it might be annoying to you, but it's just kind of how I talk. But I'm gonna try to give you guys the information so you can have it from a person who got through it. And like I said, I did good in the class. I didn't do perfect in every single thing, um, but I did the best that I could, and that pays off. Um, when you have recruiters and people who on the professional end can say that they can tell that you show up, or when you get a reputation where people are like, you're submitting your work and we know that you're good, like they don't even like think about like if you're doing it, like work to your strong point. Maybe some of the tech stuff, networking and all that, wasn't like the best, easiest thing for me. But when we did the professional development stuff and we had these worksheets to do and stuff, and maybe some people would slack on it and be like, I don't want to like write this part for my resume. I don't want to do that. I was like, no, I will spend the hours and sit here and do the thing that they said to do. And it showed, and at a certain point, certain instructors were like, oh, like, we know that you did the work, so we're just going to look at it. And I'm like, okay, you did it, and it's like, you can tell you kind of get a reputation where people just kind of trust that you're doing the work. That's what you want. You want people in your corner that know that you're working hard, that you're taking it serious, because they're working hard too. They're working their butts off too to try to get you. They get a paycheck depending on how you do too. So, um, a lot of times, you know, like you got to take them seriously too, you know, treat them like they're your boss. Don't treat them like it's just like some somebody who's just like a tutor almost or something. Like treat them like they're your boss, you know, they're getting you to the next phase. They kind of hold the keys, you know, like if you might need a recommendation from somebody, um, you might need a reference letter from somebody, and you might not be able to get them from your past boss, or you might need it from someone who actually is in the field that you're trying to get into. You might need advice from people, even if you're not the best student or like the brightest and like the best, you know, like the work effort that you put in is going to show. Sorry, let me end this and then we'll start the others. I'm going to try to keep these near 30 minutes or under. Let's see if I can even do that.